back.
What's
Instead, I don't
happening,
even have to
guys?
share my screen this time. I just have to, it's just our faces.
It's
That's all
it's
we've got,
weird.
really. I love
Oh,
that. All we've got for you is our face.
we didn't get any physique reviews.
No, no, to
So
be fair. But we did have a few questions on that as well, so we'll talk about
yeah,
that.
I definitely had some from last time and some new ones come through. So we've got plenty to
Yeah.
talk about.
So, do you want to start first? I think you have more than me, so you can start first if you want.
Okay, let me have a look. Let me go to these older ones first.
You can't hear my
Okay.
phone.
Oh, we had a couple of compliments first, by the
Right,
way.
compliments. Let's
One
start with
of
positivity.
So thank you to the people that gave us compliments. One was says, just wanted to say, really love the pod, guys. Please keep it coming. Thank you. And then the other one was no question. Just wanted to say, I love your pod, guys. Look forward to it every week.
Hey, and this is
Yay.
why we've stayed consistent with this for you two listeners.
Yes. I mean, we love a compliment. Who doesn't love a
If you
compliment?
don't tell us you're listening, we don't know you're there, and then we just might stop doing the podcast because I mean we won't. We'll probably just keep catching up with each other, but we won't record it, so you'll never know what we're doing.
But no, we do love a little bit of a compliment.
Yes.
Like, so you feed our ego. We love it. We
Yeah,
love it.
and then we will keep bringing these out.
Okay, so one of the questions that I've got is what types of foods would you recommend post show to aid recovery and hormone function and why?
Oh, so interestingly, that is actually what I'm basically focusing on at the minute because my menstrual cycle is actually taking quite a bit longer to come back than normal.
Hmm.
No other reason, it just happens. So I am being very proactive about what I can do. So my fats are sitting quite high. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not really pro fats, carbs, or I'm pro food, so it doesn't really matter. And then also just making sure that I am very diverse with my food. I've
Hmm.
always stuck by, I really don't like avocados because my first prep just absolutely killed that for me. But I'm eating
Yeah.
avocados because I'm a grown ass adult and I need to have them for the micros. So I will eat them. I've just made them into a meal that I like them. So I think that's the biggest thing. So many people go, oh, I don't like this certain food. I swore, I told myself, oh God, I'll never drink my calories, so I won't have olive oil. I'm having olive oil in my dinner because it's good. I need to think I want to support my body. I want to respect
Yeah.
my body off the back of a prep. So I'm making sure I get fats with all my meals other than my post-workout meal. And I'm diversifying because I hate that is one thing I will not have. I hate fish. So I'm making sure I'm getting it from elsewhere. So it's a mixture of peanut butter, like walnuts are so good. I will be having olive oil, avocado, eggs, dark chocolate. I'll also be mixing up my actual like food sources, eating the rainbow, as they say. So I'm eating like kiwi, blueberries, raspberries, carrots, peppers, like thinking that you're getting something from each of the coloured food that you're
Yeah.
eating. Kale, spinach. I know kale, when you think of the word kale, like but honestly, that with my spinach, chicken, carrots, peppers, olive oil, and I still have sauce. Like I love a sauce
Mm.
but I'm having that. So yeah, I'm just doing everything that my body is going to. In bodybuilding, we can be very
Mm.
much like food is for a purpose. So chicken and rice, chicken and rice, chicken and rice, or the same thing. Because if you like it, you just rinse and repeat it. And I'm
Mm.
all for that. But what are you getting nutritionally when you're thinking about hormonal health? So that's why I've changed things up to make sure that obviously I take my supplements, sleep. I was fine on like 6, 7 hours sleep, didn't feel
Hmm.
tired, but actually, if my body is saying it's not coming back to normal, I'm forcing myself to have 8 hours. Does
Yeah.
that mean I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night? It does mean I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. It's still bright outside, guys, but
Yeah.
my body naturally wakes up. I like to be proactive in the morning, so there's no way I'm going to sleep in. So I'll force myself to go to bed earlier. So
Yeah.
I know not everyone can do that, but where I can, like stress management, I'm big on mindset, big on like grounding myself. So I've been doing a little bit more reading, having a time audit, so everything. So yeah, just thinking about food being for not just aesthetics, food being like the purpose of the food sources you're eating for hormonal health.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like the approach post show has to be personally tailored. Each person responds differently, every body responds differently. Even my body has responded differently between preps. So you kind of have to as a coach anyway, have maybe an approach in mind, but also be prepared to switch tacks dependent on how someone's body is responding. I think my favored approach, or like you said, my focus post show isn't necessarily about being specific about um oh, it has to be really high fats. Though we know that, like, on a basic level, out of all of the macros, fats are the ones that are going to support your healthy hormone production the most. So for me, it's top priority is getting you away from a deficit um, as quickly as possible. Because that's going to be the key thing that's going to help regulate your hormones. Because that's, even though fats are going to help with that, the key thing post prep is just making sure that you're nowhere near a deficit anymore, so that your hormones can rebalance. Then, for some clients that I think are maybe struggling more with maybe getting a period back or something like that, I might favor a proportionately higher fats in their diet to try to help that along. But this is where things like bloods come into play. Do you know what I mean? And looking at things like, are you using omega-3 as a supplement? Because that can help with your healthy fat intake. And just making sure that you're getting enough of what your body needs to help it with hormone production. But really, I think it's just, are you doing all the things that you need to be doing to get your body in a healthy state, away from a deficit, allowing your body to regulate? And then you can think about the specifics at tailoring the macros to help support that, and using medical advice from bloods and doctors to help with any further areas that need specific support after that, and potential supplementation.
Yeah, I think people can get very fixed on like the route, because even if you go down the macro route, like with some people, if they are really struggling, I'll then go, okay, let's pull. So for some people, if they struggle with hunger, it's like, let's keep the protein high, because that's going to help keep you full for longer. But for some people, it might be pull the protein right down. Let's give you more carbs as an energy source, because you're going to get more variety. But I think the biggest thing is also we get so focused on what can I do with food, that you're neglecting your sleep, or you're neglecting your stress, you're neglecting your recovery, you're neglecting all those things that you just don't even like. You're so good on in prep because the stress puts the scales up, and if I don't sleep, I'm gonna feel even hungrier the next day, when actually it's off the back of like your prep as well. That's gonna function you hormonally. Like this prep, every prep's been better than the last, but this prep for me, I finished in the best possible spot. Like my calories were not low for me anyway. They were in a good spot. I was doing no cardio. Steps were like 10,000. Like, so on paper, best possible spot for me to be finishing a prep. But obviously, hormonally, there's something going on there. So I had the best prep, wasn't digging, like even to the point, like, I wasn't assisted towards the end. Like we just didn't need it. Everything was clean in that sense. I was aiming to be full. We were reversing out for months. So essentially, it's more of a, not what you've done. It can just be your body's physiological response to certain things. So yeah, I think that's understanding it can be more complicated than we realize. And being bodybuilders, sometimes patience isn't our biggest thing, because it can feel like it's taking ages. I know for me, like I've done my bloods and I've got to wait, it's probably like another 4 weeks or so, because I'm going to give it like 6 to 8 weeks to make sure everything I'm implementing is having a long enough effect to then recheck. But you get impatient because you're like, I just want to do everything now. And I'm like excited. Obviously, I don't want the scales to be rapidly going up to the point that, I pack it on quick, but I am in a surplus. Like if it stays steady, then we're like, right, up things. Like I'm actively, don't hold on, like you said, to like pull that away, get the body fat on. My upper body might seem quite lean still, but that's because that, luckily, years of building. Lower is not. Like even if you saw me shut the door, then like it's there. So I am in that surplus, but I appreciate that surplus, because it's what's giving my body some health back. It's giving me some, like hormone production again.
Yeah, I think like just focusing, I agree with everything that you've said, by the way, that it's not just about the food side of things, but just focusing on the food bit, because that's what the question was asking for. I think like if I look at my reverses, when I've when my body has got back to a healthy position quicker and I've like got my cycle back quicker has always been when I've
Gained quicker.
upped my food
Yeah.
and allowed my body fat to increase quicker. That's
Mm.
not saying, by the way, binge and lose
Yeah.
control of eating, because I've never done that. But when I haven't been, I mean, I've never been afraid to put body fat on
Yeah.
post show. But like, you know, what I would say is that post show last year, I was a little less tight on the reins and I accumulated body fat quicker and ate more than I probably should have done. But I got my period back in 5 weeks,
Yeah.
which is the quickest I ever got it back. And I think even though aesthetically, probably a bit questionable for a bit, it allowed me to get to a healthy position quicker, which meant that I was in a position sooner to be able to tidy that up.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well. Like, I think we get so caught up with being lean because we've made that our identity
Yeah,
when you are more than that physique. And if you truly want to grow, you need a cycle. A happy
yes.
body is one that is bleeding because your
Mm,
hormones are regulating. So you want to be as optimal as possible. That cycle is so important because then it
mhm.
shows that you have a nice, hospitable environment that everything's just flowing and functioning. But if you're not getting that cycle, that is a red flag that something is just
Isn't right.
not
Yeah.
happy to whatever degree. It's just not clicking. And in this world of being as optimal as possible, the most optimal thing is you can have your cycle. So yeah, I do think it's seeing that outlook when it comes to pulling away from the scales and gaining body fat, accept some discomfort. Like it is what it is. It's all temporary. It's like they're saying it's the beauty of life is all the good and the bad is temporary. So
Mm,
just know you've got to roll with the times, and you
yeah.
worry that everyone's going to be going, oh, she's put on a bit of weight, oh, she didn't do well, whatever. But normally it's the
Get
people,
out the oversized tees, mate.
yeah,
Stop looking at yourself.
it's normally the people that don't get it. So like the people you work with or your family that haven't seen you for a while or friends or whatever that don't get it. But people that kind of get it, especially when they've been doing this a while, they won't give a shit. They'll be like,
But
good on her.
also bear in mind that those people that go on saying, oh, you've put on a bit of weight were probably the ones telling you not to get too skinny when you were going through prep as well. So
Yeah.
they're just hypercritical people that have always got
Yeah, you're
something
never
to
going to
say.
please them. So
No,
yeah, get
so
away
we
from
just
that.
ignore them anyway. But yeah, I think both of us are kind of echoing that just getting healthy is top priority. And obviously food is a big part of that, but I wouldn't necessarily hyper focus on food types necessarily unless there's a leaning towards that being something that would help you with resolving any particular issues that you encounter. I think for everybody, the key is just eat enough to get away from a deficit,
Mm,
and give your body the best chance of recovering as quickly as possible.
definitely. This is a quick, well, say a quick one. Do bikini girls train abs? I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this because I feel like my thoughts might be controversial on this.
Um,
Not if you train abs, because I can tell you're laughing. I know you probably don't. But what is your thoughts?
I train abs now because Chase makes me. No, okay, so like I personally think that the category criteria doesn't say you need developed abs as a bikini athlete. You need a small midsection, you need a tight midsection, but you don't need developed abs. Now, I think that what your abs look like aesthetically is very genetic based. Like I think there are some people that can train their abs every day and still have no ab lines. There are people that cannot train at all and have the deepest abs you've ever seen. Um, I personally, I've never. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I think there's benefits to doing it, and I think that if ever I've been at a point in my life where I've trained abs, it's been more to support the strength of my other lifts than it has because I've been like, oh, it's going to help the aesthetic of my physique, because I think even when I've trained abs and haven't trained abs, my midsection has still looked the same because I tend to hold a lot of my stress in my midsection, which means I always have this layer of water film over the top of it, no matter how lean I get. So I guess what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is that having a small midsection is necessary, but I don't necessarily think that training abs makes it small. I
Mm,
think vacuums help to keep it tight as an exercise. Like I think there's certain exercises that you can do that help with your core control. But I don't necessarily think that training abs for aesthetics is necessary.
yeah. So I do agree with that with some caveats because I do
Mhm.
agree because there's all this thing of like, firstly, your physique. If you have a solid set of abs, you don't need to train abs. The criteria is, like you said, a controlled midsection. So I never used to have abs. I was like, I'm never going to be someone that had my first ever prep, like just nothing. And then we were like, right, I'm going to do ab work. And I actually did loads of weighted ab work. Now, would I say that that's the right point of call? Probably not. But obviously, again, this was years ago. But it helped me create a mind muscle connection with my midsection, at least. That was something when you do abs properly, like not just throwing things around. So I did do a lot of crunches. I did a little bit of weighted stuff, but it was mainly like it would be like weighted cable crunches, but it was
Yeah.
mainly body weight crunches and hanging leg raises. So a lot of
Yes.
body weight stuff. Now, do I think abs? I do think abs should be trained with bikini, but for various reasons. So if you have nothing, I think it
By
is
the
good.
way, all of my clients have ab training in their
Yeah.
programs. So I'm
So
not
I,
saying that it
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah,
be done. Everything I spoke about is like
yeah. So
it's
I do give it to my girls because I do think it's something that helps with your mind muscle connection and does help build a what they want as a tight midsection. Because unless you naturally have a small waist or you naturally have solid abs, it is a good thing to help create just like with muscle. Like if you've got that muscle there, it's going to poke through rather than just being flat. It's not something you necessarily need to have. But now what I would say with what you're saying with vacuums is doing vacuums and doing a lot of TVA exercises because I've done a few videos on this on my like Instagram and stuff as well. When a tight midsection is one you can control, it's
yes.
very common that we think in our side poses we need to breathe in, and then
Oh
you're
yeah, you don't want to do
rib
that.
flaring. That's not ab control. That's just you sucking your gut
Doing
in.
your gut, yeah.
When we say tight midsection, we're thinking corset. So
Yes.
that's when you need to control your belly button, so your lower stomach. You need to control your upper abs, but you need to control your obliques. So a lot fucking going on. So I think yes, ab work for mind muscle connection. And I do think vacuums and TVA for core control. So again, person dependent, physique dependent. I do think you should do it, but obviously there's caveats based on your physique. I bet everyone should do vacuums and TVA stuff.
Yeah,
Everyone.
no, I agree
That
with
stage.
ab training for core control.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree in ab training for aesthetics. But
Mm.
like that's just my opinion on it. Like I guess the way I see it is you get people up on stage all the time that don't need to train their
Yeah.
abs, right? So there's an argument there in isolation that no, it's not always needed. But it is going to be person dependent. Like I said, I've gotten pretty far without
Yeah.
training abs.
I think
Um,
it's a nice, like it is a nice aesthetic. You don't want etched in blocks, but
no,
if you can hit a side pose and you can have a couple lines, that adds it adds to the aesthetic of looking tighter. But then you don't want anything etched in bulky, like you don't want to be looking beefy or anything. But if you can have like something there, I think if you had two similar physiques and you had one that had some definition that made it look
yeah,
tighter, then that's going to bring the look together more.
but
But if you took her away, the other girl would
yeah.
be looking
I
better.
also think as well, though, going back to what we were saying before in the last question, though, that I think that what your abs look like is hugely dependent on how you're managing your digestion and your stress.
Oh yeah.
Like for me, I think one of the main reasons I stopped training abs over the years is because I realized that like when I'm stressed, my midsection just gets watery as shit. Like it doesn't matter. And I've always had pretty shit digestion. So it's like it's been really hard to crack that. And so it's kind of like, it feels sometimes like putting in a load of effort for no return,
Yeah.
which I know sounds awful, but that's just me being honest about me. So yeah, I think that yes, if you are going down the route of training abs, yes, do that, but also make sure that you're managing things like digestion and stress that can have a huge impact on
Stress
what
is so
your
key.
midsection aesthetic looks like, especially when you're that lean.
Yeah, definitely. Perfect. Your turn.
My turn. Sorry, I got so engrossed in the question that I was not prepared. So how to deal with looking like you don't train anymore as the lines start to fade, as I'm really struggling with this. Firstly, I'm sorry that you're really struggling with that.
Yeah, it's not a nice feeling, especially if when you were really lean, you had like loads of shape and you felt really good. And then when you
Mhm.
pack it back on, you just don't feel like you've got the shape there. We can create a little bit of an identity and self-worth over a physique rather than
Yeah.
our everyday body. But I mean, I would shift my focus. Firstly, I'm really big on having completely different wardrobes, but both wardrobes make you feel good. So don't
Okay.
baggy tees are life. Make sure they're nice ones, but also like I'll have the same pair of shorts because I like the style, but in like
Hmm.
four different sizes.
Yeah.
So I can always wear the shorts that I like, but I'm not going to force myself into. If I force myself into some prep shorts, I'm going to have the most horrendous camel toe. I'm going to have my gut hanging out, I'm pinched in. Like I'm not going to be feeling my cutest in that. So I'll buy what I want to wear, the outfits I like, but I just might buy them in two or three sizes and then
Mm.
have different wardrobes. And do you know what? I'm not sad to pack that one away because that's got some cute outfits because I've got exactly the same but in a bigger size and I'm going to feel more comfortable in it. And I'd also shift my focus into my strength being related with that
Mm.
because also in prep, like it looks cool because you can stand there and be like, oh, I've got a new vein, but you actually feel like death most of the time. So how strong am I now? Like that healthy body, hopefully it's nice and healthy, is what's creating that next physique look. So you can then think, this is how cool I felt when I was lean, but how much cooler is it that the work you're doing now is going to be revealed in the next prep? And if we don't embrace this phase now, you're just going to look the same. And then that's not
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I think that but I guess for me personally, I think the wardrobe thing is really cool. It's not something that I do personally because my out of the gym wardrobe is still very much casual wear. Like I love joggers and like oversized clothing. Like don't get me wrong, like I'll wear dresses and stuff like that, but 99% of the time they're bodycon dresses that kind of stretch with how I am anyway.
One size fits all.
Yeah, like I love something that just expands with my size and still makes me look good. Black suits everybody and every shape, right? So, but I love that as a concept. You know, something that I always say to my clients is that when it comes to post show, the goal isn't aesthetics anymore, it's health. So if you can be in that mindset of right now, I need to stop obsessing about what I look like and understand that my primary goal is getting me healthy so that I can have a productive body. And that's what's going to help me look good once it's back where it needs to be. Like I am a fan of saying to my clients post show, if you don't like what you look like, stop taking pictures of yourself. Stop looking in the mirrors all the time. Stop and put on baggy tees so you're not hyper focused on what you look like. Because if you don't like what you look like, continuing to look at yourself, hoping that you're going to see something different, is just going to make that worse. So, and let's be honest, everybody post show for the most part, even if they are shredded, is going to be a little bit more puffy than what they were when they were stage ready. And that's what kind of sets people off is that realization that they're not as sharp as they used to be. And I think because everybody claps for you when you get lean, but nobody's celebrating you when you're eating more food and doing less, because everyone thinks, oh, I can do that. There's nothing impressive about eating more and doing less. Um, it's easy to get caught up in that, oh, I must look terrible mind process if you're not being clapped for anymore. But you've got to remember that, like, literally, and I say this with my chest, the only good thing about, about prep is what you look like if you like looking like that.
Mm.
Like you feel weak, you're hungry all the time, your body's stressed, your digestion goes to shit. Like that, you can't be as social, you've got no energy, your sleep is terrible, you're popping supplements like they're Skittles, just trying to get through the day. Training is absolutely awful. Whereas, like post show, you're okay, you might not always be so attached to the aesthetics, not immediately post show anyway. But it is like you say about performance, getting strong, feeling good, sleeping well, eating properly, being able to enjoy those social occasions that you've missed out on. And I don't know about you, but I love having a booty.
No, yeah. Well, even
So for me, I'm like, bring it
Matt
back.
posted a selfie the other day of us like having a date day, and he went to do a picture, and I immediately was like, bum shot. And just own it, like you've got one now. But few pointers that I want to bring up. So self-care is everything. I will not fake tan post show. Like I fake tan is a lifesaver. I'm not walking around like looking like Miss Marshmallow Man. No, no. Self-care is everything. Don't neglect that. Like I started having microneedling this year. So for
Okay.
something to invest back into me that isn't bodybuilding related, that makes me feel like good about myself, that I'm like, do you know what? I'm taking some charge of what I want to do
Yeah.
about myself. So obviously outfits, self-care, fake tan, even things like I do my own lashes, but like something that's just going to make you feel good, whatever that is.
Hmm.
Doing something like pouring back into your cup that is
Yeah.
a
Pampering.
yeah, physique thing that's a different
Mm.
thing. Also, it's always a rough ride for us, natural or assisted, post show as females, because our hormones are going all over the place.
Hmm.
So hormones are going to be shifting. You're going to be watery. You're going to be like feeling a bit like a waterbed. So the way you talk about yourself is everything. And I will say this to my
100%
girls:
agree.
if you put an outfit on, or if you look at yourself or catch yourself in the mirror, and it is immediately like, oh, I feel fat today, or I feel squishy, or oh, look at that roll,
Change it.
immediately change that change of
Hmm.
thought and say three good things about yourself,
Hmm.
because you do not you live in that body 100% of the time. So if you spend that all that time saying something negative, talk to yourself like you would talk to your mate going through the same thing, because you
Yeah.
wouldn't say to her, oh yeah, you are looking a bit fat, would you? You'd pick her up. So what gives you the right to talk to yourself about that? Also, on the way down, when you are losing that fat, you're really
Yes.
proud when you hit that weight. But
Yes.
on the way out, you feel really shit about your body. You're 60 kilos and you're 50 on stage, and you got to 55 kilos and you felt like dog's bollocks, like amazing. But 55 on the way out, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so fat.
Yeah.
You were so proud of that on the way down.
Yeah.
So use that analogy and be like, you might be a little bit softer for it, but you were very happy with that on the way down.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
just reframe
And
everything.
just remember as well that people clapped for you when you got to that point as well.
Yeah, it's because they followed your journey down. Just because they've
Hmm.
left you now, and if you're doing it for everyone else, get out of this, because you shouldn't be doing it for everyone else. And
Agree.
if it is how you reframe that. And also, a lot of people when they go on holiday, that's when they put pressure on themselves. I swear down, if you look at other people, this is not discrediting the general population, but they ain't give a shit wearing a bikini around a pool. So why do you? Just because you're not
Mm.
your leanest self, you are comparing against your leanest self. They don't know who you are, Susan. Susan put the bikini on. Like they don't know who you are. They don't go, oh, wasn't she on stage 5 weeks ago? They will still be thinking, gosh, she looks
She
good.
looks great.
Yeah, because
Well,
you're,
you'll think you look great when you
yeah,
look back in 6 months, unless
yeah.
obviously you've binged yourself into oblivion, then
If
you might
you've
not feel
really,
that way.
really gone to town on that, then ride it out. It gets better. Remember what we said about everything being temporary. But
Hmm.
yeah,
No,
it
but
might.
that was the last point that I was going to touch on is it is temporary, right? So like this watery bit that you have post show, a lot of that is just going to be your body figuring out what is going on, right? So the more consistent you are, which is my top advice to everybody, the more consistent you are, the quicker your body will regulate, hormones will get back into play, and the quicker you will see some of that water retention drop off. The healthier your body is, the quicker that water retention is off. The quicker your menstrual cycle comes back. That helps with the water retention dropping off, but it's all temporary. You know, it's you're sitting in this state for a few months so your body can figure its stuff out. And then you just have to remember that it's like if you're not happy with what you look like after that, you make some
Yeah,
changes
you can change it.
to change it. It's not you're not stuck in this body forever,
It's
right?
not going to
It's a
matter in
temporary
five
means to an
years.
end.
don't spend more than 5 months stressing about it. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I had a rough ride in 2021 and 2022 and even into 2023. Just everything was fucked. And I'm in a completely different, even at the same weight, I'm in a completely different body composition because I just had to fucking stick it out. I remember going on a
Mhm.
holiday and I did not feel comfortable with myself. I wanted to diet, my body wouldn't diet, so I thought I had to suck it up. And you know what? Still had an amazing time, and no one gave a shit what I look like because no one knows who I am. It's sort of
Look,
like,
I
doesn't
put on
matter.
10 kilos in 3 weeks after my last show.
Mm,
Was I comfortable? No, but I also accepted that that was what I did to myself, so I just had to own it. I went on holidays, got in a bikini, all of that. When I didn't feel like getting a bikini, I didn't get in a bikini.
yeah,
But
mindset
you
of
know, I
who you
just
surround yourself with.
yeah,
Be
I rode
around
it.
other bodybuilders.
Yeah, I just rode it out until I had the okay that my health was in a good place, and then I tidied it up.
Yeah,
And I feel good about where I'm at now. Do you know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
not forever.
I think that people can, and it's not to say this girl has, but we can get very caught up with a victim mentality of feeling shit in ourselves, but not do the work to make ourselves feel better. But that was the biggest turning point for me. If I wasn't happy with how I was, I only have not myself to blame. If maybe if I binged or overate or whatever, then I've got
Hmm.
myself to blame. But actually, my actions moving forward, do I want to stay constantly living in the past or what I thought was better, or whatever, or do I want to give back to myself in the present to then have a better future, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
So, like, we're both big on mindset anyway, but yeah, the way
Mm,
you talk to yourself, the way you pour back into your cup, the things you listen, the things you read, the things you surround yourself with,
yeah.
know
Agree.
you are you in every phase, not just in your prep body. Just because you had
Agree.
the likes in your prep body doesn't mean that that's a validated version of you and your off season isn't. Because, like I said,
Nah.
if you do it for the right reasons, you learn to embrace every phase. If you're doing it for the likes, assess what you're doing.
Agree. Reach
Um,
into the converted, my friend.
would you say there's an age limit for more mature females stepping on stage for the first time?
Age limit.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, you're talking to someone that stepped on stage for the first time at
she's past it
32.
now.
I got my pro card at 36, mate. Like, I get this quite commonly. Well, I mean, at the Masters Championships, it's a pro card show. Did you
And at
know
the
that?
Masters Championships, it was one of the first shows to be sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
no, so I think like times are changing. I think like if you'd have spoken to me uh when I started, I don't even think you could get a pro card in Masters when I started. It was only the height class for PCA, I believe. Can't remember. No, you could only get a pro card if you won the overall at British finals or like
Mhm.
they did the European Championships at the time, which was like that one that they did at Body Power.
Yeah.
And then obviously they started opening it up so that you could win pro cards at any class in British. But even then, I think it was only limited to certain classes. I don't think you could get it in junior or masters, and it kind of built up over time as the standard of the other classes started to rise. So I think there's an acknowledgement there, and I that you can't really be past it, especially now if you look at the fact that there's a masters bikini pro class. Like I don't,
In
and I
the
think some of the older physiques, more mature, more impressive.
NPC route as well, they have the Euromasters in
Mhm.
Italy, which goes up to bloody 60 or something even more. You've got the Masters Olympia, which is every
Mhm.
3 years or something. So Olympia for Masters. So like it's there. I think the only thing is, I would say the limitation, but this doesn't really come with an age, but may more hinder you as an age, is if you're starting later, you don't have a background of lifting, you're
Yes.
entering a sport that's very genetic based. So you genetically are at a disadvantage unless you genetically grow muscle quite well,
Yeah.
because there's going to be, say, you've got another girl who started in their 20s and they're 40, 50, and they've spent all that time building muscle, they've got the muscle maturity, density, and all that. And say you are in your 40s now deciding you wanting to compete, and there's nothing wrong with being in your 40s, but ahead of you're 20 years later than a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
If you don't have the muscle and you also don't have the genetics, then I would say set your standards. Now, that does not mean you cannot get on stage. Anyone can get on stage. Like you set yourself a goal, you should. But this is where you maybe think about what standard you're setting yourself. Again, you don't know your physique. You could be a genetic anomaly and do really well and pack on muscle with the right plan and all that. But this is where maybe, yes, we might not be a PCA pro, but you can still do a PCA show, or you could do UK up, or that's the reason fit models here, like, because you don't need as much muscle. But that's the only thing I would say is setting your standard based on your physique when age is related. Because if you are starting later, if you don't naturally grow as muscle as quick, it shouldn't be a deterrent, because it is still such a goal for you to, at the end of the day, yes, prep for that very short time is unhealthy, but the actual bodybuilding lifestyle is so good for when we age. You're eating right, you're lifting, you're looking after yourself, so it is a good thing. But just set your standards for potentially based on your physique and what your goal is with it. But again, if you've been doing it a long time, or you've got a lot of muscle and you're about to start it or whatever,
I think but this is my advice for everybody as a beginner, as a person starting out, just set the bar low and be like, I'm doing this for me to see if I like it and see how I do. I think people put themselves under so much pressure to be competitive at something that they've not tried. What I would say when it comes to masters, and I agree with everything that you've said, is I think right now we're in kind of an age with masters where it's starting to get popular. So the masters classes are getting bigger because the masters generation of people aren't afraid to give it a go now. So there probably is going to be a bigger proportion of people who are maybe starting lifting and then entering a master's class, maybe being a little under muscled because they're getting into it later in life and haven't necessarily got the background with the muscle there. However, I will caveat, I think over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see that mix change as some of the younger competitors move into master's age, which is going to bring up the standard of what a master's competitor looks like. So I'd probably say that it will get harder as time goes by for people of an older generation to just decide that they want to get involved, having had no background in lifting or training before. Not that they can't do it, but that they will find it harder to be competitive, the same way that any category would. Like if you do the short, medium, tall class, if you've only been lifting for a year, you're going to be outdone by the people that have been doing it for 10. Same with juniors. Like, if you come up against the junior that's been lifting out of the womb, then like you're gonna get beat. It's the same with every class, but I think at the moment with masters, there's kind of an opportunity whilst it's just getting popular where you could potentially still do well as someone just entering it. But like I say, I think that's probably going to change. Like I look at you now, like you're coming up to that age where you'll move into masters, right? So like that adds another super competitive masters person into the mix that hasn't been there. No, but it's true. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's all the people in the younger ranks that have been doing the work now will be moving up to masters at some point, which is just going to keep elevating the standard of the masters category. It's no coincidence, I think, that the masters category is getting more and more and more competitive as the years are going on.
Thing as well. So there is masters for NPC, but there's not for fit model, sorry, but there's not a masters for PCA. But I do think because they've only just brought fit model out, that will be their next step, is a masters fit model.
There is in the masters championships though.
I feel like there would be for that.
Because they've even got it for figure. But I think that's the only. But ladies, these people that need to be doing fit model, they're only going to do it if the numbers are there. And I think based
Yeah.
on what we've seen so far this year, there aren't going to be the numbers for fit model for them to start separating out by age.
Mm.
Um, but I
Yeah.
think there would be if it was more popular.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Second half of the season will be coming up. We'll keep an eye out for everyone.
And
Uh,
obviously the first timers classes, the first timers shows, sorry, still exists. So
yeah.
I think that I'm personally of the opinion that anybody should give it a go if it's something that they're thinking about. Like, don't let competitiveness stop
Yeah.
you if it's something that you want to try. Just do your best and see how you get on. And if you're like, I want to invest in this and see how far I can go, then you apply yourself in a way that you need to put yourself in a position to be as competitive as you can. But like you touch on, as you get older, your capacity to build muscle slows
Mm.
down. So it's just about understanding what options you have to make sure that you're making the most of your
Yeah.
own development.
Yeah. You? I think it's you.
It's me. Okay. This question is kind of similar to ones we've kind of touched on, but it has a little bit more specificity to it.
Yeah.
Specificity. What's
It's
the word? Specific,
specificness.
whatever the word is.
Oh, specific.
That'll do. So, right, tips for reverse diet and off season. Calories have been upped, but weekends I really struggle. I'm a solo mum and I find weekends the hardest as there's no real structure to my day. Any tips, please?
Yeah, I actually do have a few mums that are exactly like this.
Same.
So I will always say try and plan ahead. If you already go in feeling defeated, you failed. So at least try, if you've got kids' birthday parties, things like that. Now, if you know, like you're going to go to a kid's birthday party, I'm going to eat cake. Like I'm just gonna, it's there, whatever it is. I accept it. Don't try and like force, I can't eat stuff. So then think, I'm at the party, I don't know how long, 1 till 3.
Hmm.
So I don't want to be eating my Tupperware because I don't have to. The mums look at me weird. Like your post show, don't put yourself in that situation. You just don't need to.
Hmm.
But buffer so you can fast in the morning. You're going to automatically save some calories. Thinking about when you do eat, just like before you go to like the birthday party or the dinner out or the barbecue, what meals can you eat around that? So like egg white omelette and loads of greens for volume, or Greek yogurt meal, so you're getting your protein in and get some berries in. A small bowl of oats if you are feeling like you need that energy. Still have it, like don't hold back on carbs, but portion control things. And then again, it's all dependent on what you're doing. Like a barbecue's easy to be on plan. Birthday parties, buffer, like always overestimate. As females, we are statistically proven to underreport stuff. So
Hmm.
be very aware of what you're eating and always think, do you know what? This cake was probably 500 calories. I'm going to say 6. Admit or accept if you go over, you go over. Like accept it. But if you feel like you're losing control, I say that's when you've got to really think, why is this happening? And if you don't mind it happening, which sounds like she does, but if you don't mind it happening, move on. It might be the fact in your week you're so controlled, make it more of a deficit in the week if you feel like you can control it. Give yourself more calories on the weekend so you can buffer that. So think about that calorie cycling. If it's like a feeling that you just really don't want to be like that, you've really got to ground your emotions to why that's happening. Because half the time it is emotional, like it really
Hmm.
is. And then we don't drink as much, so then we're hungry because our routine's out of place. If it's the fact you're just so busy because you've got the kids around, so you need quick food, change your meals up, pre-make some wraps. Like that's going to be way quicker to eat than like your chicken and rice or your potatoes. It might be the fact, yeah, I just want some downtime with the kids and make a dinner with them. So plan what dinner you're going to have with them. Like again, it's actually quite a vague answer because I don't know why it is that's so
Yeah.
busy. But I would say always try and talk with your coach to make a plan. And if it doesn't go to plan, like I know some girls that's more my team that struggle, I will touch base with them on a Friday and then on a Monday. So
Yeah.
we try and get an idea of what's happening and then try and have that accountability off the back end of the weekend to see how it's gone, just so they can start learning their lifestyle. Because especially post show when you're a mom, it isn't one size fits all. You obviously hopefully did it on a prep, so you potentially know you can do it, or if this is just genuinely something you want to control, yeah, I would say it's just that planning aspect where you can, but be open to change. And the more you can put yourself in situations where you feel like you fail, I never say anything's a failure, because you can learn from it, that's how you're going to adapt, is if you keep in that negative cycle. But if you're in a situation, this is what fucked me up, next time I go to the kids' party, I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
Like your life is trial and error constantly. As we said,
Yeah,
this is going to be the theme. Everything's temporary. So it's
yeah,
about what you're going to do to correct things or to support your goals rather than saying correct things, support your goals into the next weekend. But to ground yourself and reflect on it is the biggest thing. You wallow in it, you feel like shit, you hold yourself into the past. It's not going to change the moving
Mhm.
forward aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that first things first, like I will just acknowledge, like I don't have kids, right? So I fully acknowledge that I don't have first-hand
Mhm.
experience of understanding the struggles that parents do. I have a lot of friends that have kids, so I see
Yeah,
it. Obviously, it's different observing it than it is having
yeah.
that personal experience. So I don't want anyone to feel undermined by any
Mm.
advice that I might give. My clients are all going to roll their eyes if they're listening to this because I go through this with them all the time. But what I always say to them is that the plan is like a sat nav, right? So the reason I use that analogy is because if you were going to get in your car and go, right, okay, I want to go to Glasgow today, you type Glasgow in your sat nav and it would tell you what route to get there the quickest time. If you follow it, you're going to get there in the quickest and most effective time. If you take your own detours, then you could end up taking longer to get there. You might not get there at all. But ultimately, whatever the sat nav says is designed to get you there the quickest. And that is the plan, right? The plan is designed, whether it's challenging to meet or not, the plan is designed to help you be where you want to be or be where you need to be, which is probably more the case post show. Um, Regardless of how challenging that is for you. So, what I always say to my clients is the plan is the plan. Now, if you follow it, you're more likely to have a successful reverse than not. If you don't follow it, that's fine. But you also have to accept that not following it is going to come with an impact. And you have to ask yourself, are you comfortable living with the impact of what not following the plan is going to mean for you? What we can't do is go off plan and expect that we're not going to see any impact of that and then be upset when we do see the impact of that. So I guess number one, that's me saying, obviously, you've got your plan from your coach. If you are going off plan by choice, you also have to accept that something's going to come of that, right? But I also would like to think that if you are struggling with meeting the demands of the plan, that you feel like you could speak to your coach to ask them if there are any other options to make it easier for you to adhere. Because I hate the saying, but there's loads of ways to skin a cat, right? When it comes to planning. And whilst a coach will put together a plan that they believe is most optimal to achieve what you need to achieve, they could probably do that in multiple different ways. So it could just be a conversation with your coach to say what you're struggling with, and then they can let you know if there's any other options that could make it easier for you to adhere to and still get to where you want to be. Because as a coach, that's ultimately what we want is adherence to the plan, because that makes it easier for us to help you get to where you want to get to. If you were my client, I'm a bit more liberal as a coach when it comes to the food side of things. I mean, there's a reason I have my whole scoff season page because I'm a little bit more relaxed around that side of things. But, what I would probably be inclined to say is where you can stick to the plan, stick to it. But if you've got days where you're kind of out with the kids or whatever it is that you're doing, if you can at least calorie count, right? If you really can't prepare your meals or organize yourself in advance, or there's too many inconveniences that mean that you just cannot follow the meal plan, calorie counting is a good way to kind of ensure that you're at least staying as close to what the planned calories would say as possible. And then you're going to go to me, well, Jodie, there was cake and I don't know how many calories were in the cake. Just on my Fitness Pal, you can find like a birthday cake. Do you know what I mean? And at least you're roughly keeping an eye on
Type in
what
like Costa
type
Coffee
of,
cake slice.
that's the thing, right? It
Yeah.
could guesstimate, right? Because guesstimating and at least tracking something is better than not tracking anything at all. Because if you just free flow it without keeping any kind of idea on what you're eating at all, you can quite easily go over your calories,
Yeah.
especially if you're struggling and you're hungry, right?
Yeah.
Which is what
And you
you're
can
saying is a
also
problem.
go like say, well, you just kind of, if I haven't logged it, it doesn't count. So then more, and it happens, we've all been there where we've gone, it's
Yeah.
fine, I just won't like log that. So then it's a lot easier to keep not logging stuff. And then before
Yes.
you know it, when you got like I've had it before with my girls that have gone, I've just gone completely off plan. And I've said, okay, let's just ground you. And this isn't like a punishment thing. I want you to just sit with what you roughly thought you ate because you haven't tracked
Mhm.
any of it.
Yeah.
But just so, because they'll be like, oh, I probably had like 1,000 calories over. And I'm like, I just want you to work into my Fitness Pal what you think you ate, overestimate
Yeah.
it. And sometimes actually it's like 300 calories and it's genuinely not that bad. And sometimes it's 3,000. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's just more of an eye-opening lesson. So
Mhm.
we can take away, hopefully, more knowledge into the next weekend. That's all it is.
Mhm.
Like really sit with it and do an
Yeah.
audit with it. And it's either
Yeah.
not that bad or so what if the day went up in
Yeah.
flames. But if you never acknowledge it, you'll never take an accountability of
Mhm.
it. But yeah, as like I don't have, I've got a dog, but I don't have like a crazy, I fully understand, I fully have empathy
Mhm.
for how busy, because I have so many mums on the team and do you know what? They are fucking super mums. And I will listen to the cow comes home. I will adapt that plan to the cow comes home because I cannot physically be in that situation to know. But
Mm.
we as coaches cannot help if we don't know. But
Yes.
then also, if you are controlling everything else, know that we don't expect perfection. But if you're not happy with a situation, this isn't just for mums, this is everyone in life.
Mm.
If you're not happy with a situation, don't just go around in a negative cycle. Analyze why you're not happy and what you're going to do about it.
Yeah.
Might not be an overnight fix, but over time you can make some changes.
And this is always the juxtaposition that I like to present to my mums, which can be quite effective. Um, I'm sure you are the absolute queen of planning for your kids.
Yeah, very
If
true.
you know that your kids have got to go to school tomorrow and you need to prep their breakfast, their packed lunch, and whatever in advance, you will make sure that happens under no circumstances and under all circumstances,
Yeah,
right? But with you, apparently you lose all ability to do that. So, you've got to ask yourself if you've ever found yourself in a situation where you failed to be prepared for your kids, because I doubt you have. So if you can be prepared for them, you can be prepared for yourself. It's just about acknowledging that you are just as important, if not more, because if you're not your best self for them, then they won't get the best of
yeah.
what you can offer. So, you've got to include self-care in as part of taking care of your kids. And sometimes that just means forward planning to make sure that you can put yourself in the best position possible to manage yourself alongside everything that you need to do for them.
Mm, I agree. Next one. This was all about building phase, pretty please. So then I did actually, because this was on my public box,
Okay.
so I asked them specifically, anything specifically you want us to cover? I know everyone is different, but just what to expect, as in calorie increase, how you deal with the mindset of looking fuller. So as far as like calorie increase is very person dependent. I've got some girls that are literally like 2, 3 weeks per show, complete first timers that are on 2,500 calories, still looking really lean. And
Yeah.
I am much more of a seasoned competitor. I've got much more muscle. as I said, I came out my deficit in a better spot, my prep in a better spot.
Yeah.
Yet I'm still in a steady surplus on like 2000 calories. So I think like calorie increase is very person dependent. So never compare your calories to someone else's. You've got to compare your data with yourself.
Yeah.
And is this a maintenance? Is this a surplus? Whatever it is. And I don't know, like with
Calories aren't a reward, by the way. It's not a competition of who can eat the most.
yeah,
It's whatever you need for whatever your goal is. Like some
yeah.
people have to go sub 1,000 calories in the prep. That's just what they need. Like they might still beat someone that's eating 2,000 calories a day at the end of their prep. You know what I mean? It's the same as in off season. It's like all well and good if someone can eat 5,000 calories a day in their off season, but if someone's developing and growing more on 2,500 calories, then who's the real winner? Like it's not an eating contest.
No, I've done it. I have done off seasons where I have been on, I think I just about got over 3,200 calories. And do you know what? I got fat. Didn't grow any muscle from it. I just got fucking fat. So like they were like, oh, scales are steady, more food, blah, blah. But my most productive off seasons, and this isn't to say now you need to be like scared of more food, but my last off season, I think my highest calories were like 2,200 calories. I was in a steady surplus. The main thing was, and this is all something I would always ask my girls. So calorie increase away from post show, because obviously we want the calories up, we want you
Yeah.
healthy, full out everything. But in a build, so we're talking all things build, the main things I always want to know is, are you recovering? Do you have the energy day to day as well as the energy to train? Are you progressing with your training? Are you getting PBs, whether that's through tempo, form, whatever? Are you sleeping well? Are you digesting well? They're the main things. So if they're all thinking, they're just because the scales have stayed maybe quite similar, as
Yeah.
long as they're all sinking in place, you don't need to push food just because you can push food. Because before you know it, you're pushing food so much that your digestion's gone to pot because you push too much food in and you need to pull it back, or you have just got fat and you're not optimally growing because you've now got sluggish and you're not like, you're just feeling a bit slower. Or on the offset, if you're struggling with energy, struggling with recovery, struggling with sleep, it might be the fact that that is a sign, even if the scales have stayed the same, okay, your body is saying you just need a bit more because your output is pushing you, but you're struggling to keep up with that output. So I always
Yeah.
think calories increase with the right coach and the right plan is always a positive thing, but don't always, if you're in a build, just because
Yeah.
everything is hunky dory, it is the most boring phase when done right, but for all good reasons. But because in a prep, you're looking for lines, you're looking for food drops, you're looking for the harder option, more cardio, keep me going. Like there's constant changes to
Mm.
get you lean. But in an off season, once you're settled, once you've got that body and you are, as long as everything is syncing up, as I said, your training, recovery, everything, there's no need to change anything. It's
Mhm.
actually a genuinely boring phase because you don't want it to be counterproductive on either side. So I love the calorie increase when your body is saying you need it because that's a
Yeah.
proactive increase and be welcoming of it. Don't expect increases just because you can. Because especially
Mhm.
if you've got a long build ahead, the last thing you want is more fat than you need to lose on a prep, and then you make your prep harder. So
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
my thoughts on the calorie side of things.
Yeah, I think like I echo everything you said. I think that, for me as a coach, when I'm guiding my clients through their off seasons, like two of the key things that well, the main thing that I'm thinking about is the fact that in an ideal world, I would like to keep this person away from a calorie deficit for as long as possible. And that is relying on me keeping their appetite in a good spot and their body composition good whilst working towards more progress. So, like you say, the markers around, are you sleeping well, digesting well, is training progressing, is your energy good, like all of that stuff. But what I'm ultimately looking at is all of those things being good, appetite being strong, and body composition remaining in a good place. And every now and again, where all of those things support that, I might add in a little bit of extra food. But the goal is kind of like, how much food can I add in without those factors being impacted negatively?
Yeah.
Because there's no data to suggest really that a 500 calorie surplus is more effective than a 100 calorie surplus. Do you know what I mean? It's just a surplus is what's needed to put your body in the desired environment for muscle growth. So it's not about who can eat the most or piling on as much body fat as possible. And more food doesn't necessarily mean more gains. It's just more time in the right environment of providing your body with the fuel that it needs to get strong, be energized, and recover properly. And like you say, you can go weeks sometimes without actually needing to make a change. And sometimes you get to that top end of what is a build phase where it's like, okay, I've got to be careful how I play it here because I don't want to have to trigger things into a deficit because I've killed her appetite or I've now made her look like a potato. Like you've got to play it careful. So there might be less changes once you've been in an off season for maybe a couple of months, 2-3 months, and it's like, right, okay, I don't want to tip this over the edge. It's like Buckaroo.
Yeah.
Showing my age here. How much can I put on the donkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am following you on donkeys. Yeah, before it all goes to shit.
My flight was not good with that.
Like I think like most of my clients, if I'm honest, probably last, and this also depends on their tolerance to carry body fat. I think if you have low tolerance to having I'm not going to say higher levels of body fat because we still want to look in shape, but there are some people that just don't like the idea of carrying more body fat than they're comfortable with. Like 3 to 4 month build phases before tidying things up, I'd probably say is like the average that I see for most people. But you know, the longer you can go, the better. But yeah, I think it's less about the calories and more about is your body getting what it needs to perform the way it needs to and recover the way it needs to stimulate the growth that you need to make the developments you want.
Definitely. She said about as well, I think we kind of covered it, but with the looking fuller as well. So deal with the mindset of looking fuller.
I mean, I love a booty.
Yeah.
You girls need to start to love a booty, man, because like
until you
I would sacrifice abs over booty any day. I'm like, look, like I don't mind having a little bit of a watery midsection and a bit of a pot belly if it means to have a fabulous big booty.
I think that's the thing as well. We surround ourselves with prep people and competition people that we get caught up. And obviously we spent so long being like, I need to be this shape. That actually take a walk around town and in the nicest way possible, just people watch. So it's not to discredit anyone's physique or body composition, whatever, but everyone is every shape and size. And when you realize you are actually part of a minority that you've surrounded yourself with, all these bodybuilders that look a certain way and that normally are ahead of where we are because we're looking at that hopefully for inspiration, not comparison. But we're looking at all of that and being like, I want to be there, I want to be there. How are they staying lean all the time? But like I said, like even this physique that I'm holding right now is completely different at the same weight as I was 3 or 4 years ago. And it's because I've gone through the phase of like, I go into a prep, I reverse out better, I build better. I then, when the time is right, I've done like or like we both have done long off seasons to build that foundation. So do look at other people for inspiration, but accept that what your off-season body is, especially for the first few years, again, it's all temporary. It might not be what is your shredded look, but it's still going to be better than your starting position. Look back to maybe your very first ever starting position, and also look at people in town, different shapes and sizes, look at what they wear, and then when you realize actually it's about you seeing yourself in a different light. And I think that comes back to like to me thinking like we can pull ourselves apart and think negatively, but actually reframe that, say 3 positive things. You do that every single day. There was a video, I did send it with my girls I try and do it every year, but it's with the mindset guy, Jay, whatever his name is.
Betty.
I think it's with him, but it's with Megan Trainor. And basically she was talking about They did a thing, and she was talking about her body confidence after giving birth and all that kind of stuff. And she basically said that she would stand in the mirror and cry at herself, but then she then made an effort that every single day she'd stand in front of her mirror, butt naked, and say three things she liked about herself. And the first week or whatever, she hated it. Like she couldn't
Mm.
find anything. She was pulling, but she made herself do it. And that
Yeah.
was one of the biggest things that built up her confidence because she was changing the way she saw herself. And again, comes down to mindset thing, the work that you do on yourself. But fuller is better. You get your boobs back, you get your butt back,
You
you
can eat more food.
you get more food, you get more energy. Ultimately, if you're in this for the long run, you want to build muscle. That lean physique was a purpose, but just think
Yes.
how am I going to make 2.0 me? And that is going to be
Mm,
done through that plan that I'm following. Um,
mm,
and then, like I said, even if you've got outfits that you like that are prep outfits, just buy them in another size. I have two, what
yeah.
typically I've got a lot of wardrobe space, but I wear
Mm,
the same thing. Or I've got about 20 billion black shorts and sport. They all look the same. They're just in different sizes. And then I
yeah.
just wear for what my mood is that day. And
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing.
And I
So
think as well, like, I'm not saying this is easy for everyone, but this is a mindset that I have towards bodybuilding because people always say to me like that they don't understand like how I have such a relaxed opinion about putting on scale weight. And I have a bit of a reverse perspective to people when it comes to bodybuilding because I always see bodybuilding as the goal being
yeah,
building, right?
yeah,
So I always say my goal is not stage, right? My
yeah,
goal is using show day to understand what I need to do better in my build phase
yeah.
to improve. So it's like my preps target my build phases rather than my build phases making me better for my prep. Because I think for as long as you keep seeing the goal and the outcome as being what I look like on stage, you're always going to value what you look like on stage over what you look like in your off season.
Mhm.
Whereas for me, I have it's not something I've engineered, it's just something that I naturally have, where it's like prep serves the purpose of giving me the data
Yeah,
to understand what I need to do here. And this is the bit that I live in and the bit that I enjoy and the bit that I work for, which is the building. And the feeling good and the getting strong and the sleeping well and the eating the cake and whatever else comes in this good part. Like prep serves its purpose for this rather than off-season building its purpose
yeah.
for show day.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a saying that, or there was a caption or whatever it was that said if you're doing it right, that lean physique should only be there like 1% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're truly in it for the bodybuilding, you the normal physique is what you need to be in to,
Mm.
like you said, to build that body. So yeah, when you
Yeah.
do it for the right reasons, that self-development, but it is a mindset thing. It takes a bit of time, but surround
Mm.
yourself with people that are further ahead of you that you can speak to and surround yourself with that mindset work to do it on yourself and those confirmations for yourself and then really analyze, like ground yourself, like what is it I'm trying to achieve? Am I better than I was before? And what
Mhm.
body is serving the end goal? Like it's all
Yeah,
those crazy little things, but those questions you ask yourself and it helps ground you a little bit more.
absolutely. Have we got time for one more?
Yeah, let's go one more.
Yeah, I've still got more questions, so we'll have to cover those in future ones, but I'll just cover one more. So what are our thoughts on growing into a show? So I'll be a bit controversial on this, right? I don't mind, but like in, I'm not saying it's impossible, right? But when I hear people say about growing into a show, I think that it is only under exceptional circumstances that that can happen when you really when we're always pushing the narrative that in order to grow you need to be in a calorie surplus.
Mm,
So part of me is like I'm not saying it can't happen and I've seen that people look bigger but I'm not convinced that it's growth.
mm,
And I don't know, part of me is kind of like, is it is it drugs? Is it more intramuscular fullness because of a carb up? Is it but true
Yeah.
muscle growth that
So
takes years in a surplus to build? I don't know if that's something
yeah.
that you can
So
scientifically achieve in a prep.
I agree with the things you've said there. So I think it depends what you logically think is growing. Now, if you think you're growing tissue,
Mm.
the only time I can really think that that would be possible is if you are a complete first timer that's not
Yes.
trained a lot, and then you've gone, I'm going to go into a prep, and you've not been training that hard, but you dial in, you learn how to properly lift. You're now giving your body the right nutrition.
Yes.
Then yes, I think you can because everything's working together. And
Yeah,
if
I'm not saying it's impossible because we talk
yeah,
about
I
knee
think that's
gains all
like
the
the
time.
what
You
you
know what I
said.
mean?
I think that's what you said. It's like the small minority. So
Yeah.
the random star in the sky that could be a potential. If you fit that category, then yeah, that potentially. Again, if there's drugs involved, and it's not to say drugs are suddenly going to make you grow because
No,
it
no, no. We're not promoting it as
no,
something that you
God.
should do
But
because we're both advocates for
yeah. So again,
the
if someone is
other
quite
perspective.
new to it and they dial in on their training and then maybe they go assisted, which I definitely don't advocate because if you're new to it, learn how to do it properly. But then of course, logically on paper, then that could be a fundamental. But I do think for guys, it's different. Like I know Matt has actually grown into shows, but again, there are going to be drugs at play that we do not even touch on. But when it comes to females, I do think the reasons we may grow, like I brought a really full look to the Two Bros Pro qualifier. So it looked like my glutes and like shoulders were just like I
Mm.
hadn't suddenly grown. I had muscle there, but
Yeah.
I had been running flat and we
Yes.
didn't push fullness because of my waist for the
Mhm.
other shows. We
Yeah.
said, fuck it, let's fill the tank, accept my waist, but let's just say fuck it so we can see what I look like. So I could have looked like if I compared like the regional look to my pro qualifier look, I could have looked like I've suddenly grown some glutes or grown some bigger shoulders, but I grew a waist as well. So I just
Yeah.
filled out. That's literally all that happened. So someone growing definitely could be just manipulation of a peak.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I
a
think
it's
it's
never a term I've said to my clients
I've
where I'm
never
like,
said
let's
to
grow
anyone,
into a show. Like, and I hear it a lot, but I'm like, I just on paper, I'm like, I'm not saying it can't happen. And
yeah,
I will accept that maybe I just don't have enough scientific knowledge to understand how that would happen outside of the scenario that you brought up about like the newbie gains
yeah,
situation, which we talk about that all the time. There is the phenomenon as soon as you like eat well and provide a new stimulus that you can grow in a deficit, right? You know, and that goes for non-bodybuilders, you know, just general gym goers. Like they might just start be in a calorie deficit and grow because of
mm,
the new stimulus. But I just I just can't see as well, how would anyone know if it is true growth? Like,
yeah,
how do you measure that? So I think like you can bring a look that looks bigger based on manipulating certain factors, but whether or not that is truly growth, I think is questionable, would be
like when
my
you're post
summary.
show and you've had a few meals and then you're training again, and then you suddenly think like you're really growing, you're in your growing season, you are just filling up again, and you're just probably regaining the muscle
Yeah,
you lost.
muscle that you
Back end
lost.
of
Yeah.
prep, you are a little bit withered. So the fullness and the aliveness you're now feeling and or looking is just trying to grow back what you've really tried to not lose. So
Yeah.
to then do it in a prep, especially for females, like a lot of things tend to be tanked. So yes, there's probably anomalies, and that we'll know you can't. Nothing is
Never say never.
absolute. I hate it when people talk in absolutes,
Hmm.
but most likely the back end of prep is going to be surviving. Get there,
Holding
retain
on in there, guys.
yeah, retaining the muscle you can and bringing your best luck, whether that is through manipulation or whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah, there's probably going to be anomalies, but it's not common. Let's just say that.
I would agree. I do concur.
So that is that. It's nice that we had questions and we filled the time. So thank you, everyone. Is there a show next weekend? Yes. Oh, yes.
Coventry, isn't it?
And Two
Coventry?
Bros Pro Qualifier.
Oh, two
Open
rows.
and naturals.
Oh, how are they running it the same as they did the regional? Do we know?
Yes, I think they are. Yes.
Yes.
So yes, I think it's back to back again. So yeah. Oh, Matt's no good because he's only going to the guys bit. So I've
Okay.
got to take photos because he'll be leaving after that. But yeah, at least we'll have some shows to talk about. So that'll be exciting. And then the weekend after is PC Naturals.
Okay.
So we've got a few shows hanging on in there. August, we'll probably go back to some Q&As again. Oh no, those are Two Bros beginning of August. Then it's dead for a few weeks. So yeah.
Yeah.
Next
Excellent.
Q&A will be August.
Yeah, so if you've got questions, we will pop up boxes and
Yeah.
we love to answer them. So please don't be shy.
Right.
Not offensive though.
We take compliments,
Yeah, compliments, but no,
not criticism.
no, we don't want
So
that.
you two people watching, stay strong.
Hold on in there.
Right. So thank you to anyone that has tuned in. If you do
Thanks,
watch,
guys.
leave us a comment so we know you're there.
Yeah, and like, subscribe, and do all that
All that jazz.
malarkey.
Because we're being loyal and still sticking this through, even though there's no show. So
Basically, we're only going to do this after this season if we get more engagement.
yeah. Otherwise, 2027, we're out.
We're done.
Right. And yeah, do all of that, and we'll see you in the next one.
Much love. Bye.